I got pregnant at 12, and it was one of the worst moments of my life. My father decided to trade me for a piece of land. Where's this useless child? I could hear Daddy's voice echoing through our nearly empty house, devoid of furniture. I hurriedly responded to him and found Alhaji sitting in a chair, having a discussion with Daddy about me. When he saw me, he smiled and said, "She's old enough to get pregnant." I couldn't help but murmur, "Doesn't this man realize I'm only 12? Papa was grinning from ear to ear as if he had just hit the jackpot. "Pack your bags, you're going home with Alhaji," he said. Alhaji is a wealthy man with lots of land and he's in charge of the cows in the village. But one thing I don't like about him is that he already has 8 wives, and marrying him would make me the 9th wife. In my village, marriages aren't based on love. You might not even know the person you're going to marry until they suddenly appear and take you away. That was exactly my situation. I knew Alhaji was my father's friend, but I had no idea that my father would sell me to him just for a piece of land. And to make matters worse, I was only 12 years old. It was a really tough situation to be in. I had no choice but to pack my bags. Then Mom came into the room, tears streaming down her face. She said, "I know you're too young for this, but you have to adapt. I was your age when I got married to your father. Tradition permits a man to marry as many women as he wants. Here, men marry their wives at a young age, and the wives grow up in their husbands' houses." None of the things she said interested me. I was lost in thoughts about my friends and how we would be separated from each other. When she finally finished giving advice, I carried my bags on my head and took the bush paths to Alhaji's house. He followed me from behind. I didn't want to say a word to him because out of all the maidens in the village, he chose me to ruin my life. I knew he promised my dad that I would continue going to school in his house, but I knew he was lying. It's the same thing my friend's husband said when he married her, but she has given birth to 3 children and he hasn't mentioned school. Whenever she brings up the topic, he gets angry and leaves the house. I kept wondering why my father will even think about getting me married to his age mate. Alhaji was nothing like the kind of man I had pictured in my mind to marry. He was short, plump, with a pot belly and a set of unarranged teeth that looked like a saw ready to cut down trees. Even the way he walked irritated me. I mean, seriously, there was nothing attractive about him. I'm pretty sure all the women who agreed to marry him were just after his money. We finally arrived at his house, and even the children who came out to greet us, some were older than I was, and some were my age mates. Finally, the women came out. "Senudazua, my Gita," they echoed in unison. I just stood still as he introduced me to them. I didn't know if I should address them as my co-wives, mummies, or even aunties. They were old enough to be my grandmothers, except for the younger wife who could pass for an elderly sister. They all welcomed me as the children rushed to take my bags from me. The last wife frowned at me and went inside her hut. Maybe she was thinking I will take her place. I didn't even care about her husband. I followed them as they showed me to my hut. It was built separately from the other huts. I shut my door and laid on the mat to sleep. Little did I know, that was just the beginning of my problems.